Welcome back, everybody, to Maniacal Musings. This week we have a show for you. But let me introduce myself. As always, I am your muser, your favorite muser, by a matter of fact, as I usually advertise it. May not be true, but it's how I advertise it. It's Jeremy, of course. Chancy doesn't like to brag his ego like this. He usually just sings the logical song. Me, I prefer to just, hop on the last train to London, take the long way home. I'm just another nervous wreck who needs her love, so I head home on that midnight blue train like a refugee that I be, looking for Century City. My co-host, though. My co-host. He'll shine a little love in your life, as well as some other things. He's a child of vision, and he enjoys breakfast in America every day. I mean, it's better than breakfast in Japan, I would hope, but he will just ask you straight up, what you doing in my life? I'm on the run here, everybody. Come on, I'm on the run. I don't need you in my life. You're slowing me down. So goodbye, stranger. Don't do me like that. Ladies and gentlemen, Lord, it is my pleasure to introduce Chancy motherfucking Greif.
Hi.
And that's right, folks. We're back. Yeah, that was off the cuff completely, so sorry, folks, it didn't really flow. But, when you're doing things off the cuff, it's just the way it goes. But let me introduce our guest tonight, a good friend of mine who I've done shows with in the past. And when our original guest kind of flaked on her record label, I needed someone to fill in. And one of the first people I thought of is, I've not Glenn in the show yet. Let's get him on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Glen Sportcat Jackson of Para or Normal Guyz and Sportcat Podcast. Glad to have you, buddy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
I'm a fan, but I never listened to the Sportcat show.
I got that endorsement the other day from Biden. I don't know what to think of that. So, I was afraid I'd bring you too old of music, and y'all would be like, "Who is this old geezer?"
Ooh, and Brenda says hello, and apparently she says Glen's my daddy.
Whoa, no, I'm not that old. So, DNA test to prove it.
Jeez, Chancy, we got someone calling someone a guest their daddy this week. Last week we had a guest that the listeners love the voice of. Like, I swear to God, we're becoming a hotline here for love. What can I say? Us users specialize in certain things, but well, folks. And Brenda says, "Don't lie." But well, folks, as always, we are here to talk about music, and the music we have this week. Oof, such a good week for music. I am so happy with these 3 albums, and I can't wait to get to talking about them. So let's start it right off with Glen. What album did you want to bring us, and why? And hello, Shannon. Thank you for joining as always. We're just talking about you, actually.
I was afraid that I would bring something too old to the table, but one of my favorite albums forever is Supertramp Breakfast in America. It seems like that album's gotten me through more crap in my life than any album I could ever think of. So that one's carried me on. That'll probably be played at my funeral. So according to my children, so I've had it on vinyl, cassette, CD, whatever you call these new things, MP3s, whatever. I have it on those. And so, yeah, that one. Take the long way home. That's going to be my life story. No matter what the hell I do in life, I always do it the wrong or long way.
I mean, one, how could you think you'd be bringing something too old for us? I mean, look at the gray in Chancy's hair. For fuck's sake.
It's true. He's got more gray in his beard than I got in my mustache, so I don't feel as bad.
Well, Chancy's been taking the
long.
Well, Chancy's been taking the long way home for a long time, so.
Yeah, he doesn't go out for a pack of cigarettes and never come back, I guess. So.
No, that's my nuclear option.
Exactly. Well, before I get into it, Chancy, what did you think of Supertramp? Which might be your new nickname, by the way.
I mean, that's cool. I've been called worse by better people. I actually, honestly, it was really just a trip down memory lane for me. Like I remember my mom always being into, the classic rock stuff, anywhere from 60s, 70s, 80s. So I mean, when I saw the album as it was presented to me, I was like, oh, okay, right. I forgot for a second that Supertramp did that song, but then as soon as I saw the song, I was like, oh, I know exactly what I'm listening to. It's then not a complaint, not one complaint at all.
Which is rare for Chancy sometimes. Usually he has at least a couple complaints.
No complaints here.
Yeah. Well, when I got handed this album by Glenn initially, I was like, who? Because, I mean, I started playing some of the songs. I'm like, oh. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is one of those bands I never knew the name of. I know their songs, but I never knew the name of them because just, I say this all the time, they don't advertise the fucking name of what they're playing in the stores when they're playing songs. So I never know who it is. Like, I know these songs for at least a few of them. So, I mean, I can't complain at all. It was a groovy trip down some classics and some new favorites, I will say, because it just was a interesting CD. I mean, almost Chicago-esque with the music, but the voice was a little different than I usually would listen to. I mean, I guess it kind of actually, well, I'll get to that more when I get to my pick. But the voice kind of reminded me of some other bands, and one of them I ended up bringing. And I think you were right, Shannon. Supertramp was outshined by Queen, probably, because I mean, Supertramp probably was getting big in America, and then Queen came over and just slaughtered that. Because Queen slaughtered everybody because they're Queen. Freddie Mercury's a god. I will say that. But I mean, Supertramp, I definitely enjoyed the hell out of. It was an amazing freaking CD, and I enjoyed it. Chancy, why are you looking confused?
No, I thought I saw somebody pulling the driveway.
Oh, okay. Oh, these invaders in my house. But
I was like, what's going on here?
Get the shotgun. But I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of this. I enjoyed the hell out of the CD. I will say there are definitely not every song that I love per se. I will comment on that, but the songs I liked, I definitely liked. I got plenty of songs to mention, plus a couple honorable mentions. So, shit, I enjoyed it. And the musical styling on it was just phenomenal. Like I said, Chicago-esque, which I love, and reminiscent of some other bands as well, but I don't need to name drop them all here. But, Glenn, what are your top 5 for this CD? Because this CD I really can't, there's not enough popular songs on this CD for everybody to have the same top 5, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
Oh, well, that's, obviously, number 1, Take the Long Way Home. I think that was the number 1 hit off of it. The Logical Song, it's hard to argue with that one. Goodbye Stranger, that's kind of a really good one. Lord, Is It Mine? That one, it has kind of a long opening that's just the solo, and it's kind of quiet in it. I like that. From there, it's kind of a toss-up. From there on down, but there's really not one song on that I can't say probably Just a Nervous Wreck or Casual Conversations, but yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, you'll understand when I get to my top 5.
Okay, yeah, that would, I mean, that's kind of like my order, but I would like put Take the Long Way Home in the top 3. So. Because I mean, like number 1, 2, and 3, because I could look at that in like different points in my life and see different times, different things going on. The Logical Song I don't know if anybody else catches it, but the Mattel football, the handheld football game, that sound effect is in there, which I love. I played that growing up. Like I said, from there, Lord Is It Mine? I like the intro to it. I don't know. I mean, do you need me to foam over it more than that? It's kind of hard to when it's your favorite. So.
Oh, I mean, no. That's what we call in this show pulling a Jeremy, because it's something I started doing way back in the beginning with my favorite CDs and just being like, I love every song, so here they are in the order I picked. And literally be like a 20-track album, and Chancy's be like, oh, this motherfucker. But
well, it reminds me, they talk about, they used to do it on radio stations. If you were alone on a desert island, what would be your top 3 or top 5 albums you'd bring with you? So, yeah, this would be it. One of them.
I think I probably have brought my top 5 or top 3 albums for that on this show before. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I have. And actually, one of them, Chancy introduced me to early on. So, it's down by certain animals at a certain dance party of type. But
the monkeys
might be
no.
Might be some dogs in a disco. Regular band. But yeah,
I didn't even hit on the disco portions of this, but yeah.
Oh no, Dog Fashion Disco is a whole another element of band that is freaking incredible. They are not like any other band you've ever heard in your life, and they are incredible. So actually, they sound like they almost can sound like every band you ever heard in your life, but not at the same time. That's the great thing. So it's just so much variety. And Shannon says that Cheap Trick sound familiar. Supertramp had a lot of horns, which, yeah, I kind of can hear that, I guess. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think a Cheap Trick, I think a Surrender, so I don't really hear that in Supertramp, but I'm not that familiar with it.
That's one of my favorite instruments, period, and in The Long Way Home. That's kind of like the fade out, so great. So, Chancy, you're being attacked.
Oh, Chancy always gets attacked by the pussy. He's a popular man. But
wish I had that problem.
Yeah, I'm married. I don't want that problem. But and Shannon also says, you're right, this was a good album. I'm guessing she just revisited it and it was like, oh yeah. But let's find out why Chancy was laughing. What are your top 5, Chancy?
Well, he actually listed my top 5. All of them.
Well, I would assume.
Like, we're talking Goodbye Stranger, Just Another Nervous Wreck, Casual Conversations, The Logical... I thought it was called The Logical Thing, but The Logical Song, and Take the Long Way Home. 5-1. Just, I mean, like, literally, he named all of them. And I was like, oh, okay. Shit. No, that's hilarious. That's awesome. I would also say that for like honorable mentions, Breakfast in America was pretty good too.
Sure.
But yeah. That's my top 5. It's I got no fucking dukes, man.
That's funny. Yeah, it is kind of a. I don't even really know a word to put on it. Yeah, it's classic rock, but it's not really a rock album. It's kind of like when, they were just coming over and disco was kind of trying to take over. And it's kind of that weird period of time with music where I don't think anybody really knew what they were.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of why, I guess Shannon was right. That's kind of makes me think of Queen, because, Queen evolved with the times like that. Like, they tried doing the disco thing with Another One Bites the Dust, but it just didn't really pan out. So they said, fuck it, we're going to put opera in a song and fucking make everybody love it. And it worked. So
it did.
Love that fucking album. But see, actually, highbrow rock. That's what Shannon calls it. Highbrow rock, which it's good name as any. I actually can. Yeah, I kind of agree. With that.
Yeah, I can live with that. Yeah.
That's what we call Cottonmouth Kings, right, Chancy?
I know. In my program director at the Thin Line Rock Station, when I asked him, I said, "Hey, can we put some of these in there?" He's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Just buy the album, put it on the station. I'll pimp it." And he messaged me after about 2 weeks of me mixing it in with the stuff, and he's like, "This was actually pretty good." And I'm like, "Okay, I won't tell anyone for you." So.
Well, I actually had 2 honorable mentions for this. Lord Is It Mine was my first honorable mention because, like you said, the flute and the drums in that is fucking incredible. And I am loving the dragon effect there, Glenn. I really am. But and Breakfast in America, what the title track was my other honorable mention because it was a good song. Not top 5 worthy quite. I think it was in my top 5 at one point, but I got pushed down. But it is a good song. My number 5, which nobody mentioned this yet. My number 5 was Child of Vision because I found that to be like a really interesting. I guess the word for it would be like melody, like all the way through. Like it kind of evolved the way throughout the song, and it was a good way to end the CD. I like songs that kind of have like that big ending. So, and it kind of reminded me of what became eventually symphonic metal. So, I mean, in a way. So,
yeah.
So I love that song. Number 4 was Goodbye Stranger. That was a beautiful song. Number 3 was Just Another Nervous Wreck because the guitar in that song was fucking phenomenal. So fucking phenomenal. So I love the hell out of that song. Number 2 was Take the Long Way Home because it's a beautiful song and it made me think about a lot of my life. So, and of course, number 1 is the song I knew as soon as it started playing. I'm like, I know this song, and that was a Logical song because logically I knew it, and I feel like I'm like, this song has been in movies. I can't think of which ones, but it's been in movies. I almost want to say it was in one of the Guardians.
I could be correct. I think you're correct. I'm usually up on that. I should have Googled that, but I think you're correct.
I want to say 3. I could be wrong. I think it was in Guardians 3, but I haven't seen that one enough to really have the soundtrack down to a science like the first 2. But I'm pretty sure it was in 3. And you're right, Shannon. Goodbye Stranger is amazing. So 100% agree on that one. So yeah, I only for a CD I didn't really know, and by a band I barely knew the name of. Like I definitely appreciate it. I mean, whenever I heard the name Supertramp before, I always thought it was more of like a R&B type thing from like the 80s or something. So yeah, I think reminiscent of like Super Freak, but you know, I think my mind just went there for some reason. But and who doesn't enjoy a good Supertramp now and then? So you know, I enjoyed the hell out of the CD, I will say. But definitely a good choice. I love it when people bring classic stuff from the 70s I know, but I don't know. Like, it's always a fun thing to revisit these albums that kind of get forgotten about in time. I mean, it's not one of the albums in the 70s that everybody, like, just automatically knows. Like, if you say A Night at the Opera, or if you say Paradise by Styx, like, everybody knows those 70s albums. But these ones, like, it's just like, no, they kind of get lost in the fanfare of it all. So definitely always a good thing to bring on.
Cool.
Because I mean, it's actually kind of funny because Glenn was like, I one of the few guests I've had who actually was really concerned about what album they were bringing. Most people were just like, "Oh, I'm bringing this out, just throwing it out there. Don't even care what you think about it, just bringing it." Glenn's like, "Is this album okay?" I'm like, "Of course it's okay. Whatever you want to bring, buddy." Like, I'm not gonna say no. I mean, if you try, okay, nah. I mean, Chris Webby might be off the list from now on. Just saying. But other than that, we're pretty reliant.
Next time you find out what album Disco Duck is on, I'll bring that. So.
Oh.
I did not find that. I was looking for that sound effect. It doesn't exist.
Just to see Chancy's face for that, I would love to have it on. But
well, I was going to say, remember, the door swings both ways. All right, I'll give it a listen and pick something equally as awful.
And Chancy always has had his nuclear option still too, which I don't know what it is, but he has it.
Oh, it's so bad. Even I couldn't make it through it. I couldn't listen to that album. Like, I tried. I found something that's like the most disturbing, this, that, and the others, and yada, yada, yada. It was a whole list of stuff. And I was like, well, let's try this one. And it's like an hour long, and I made it 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's my nuclear option.
Is it Cottonmouth Kings?
It is not the Cottonmouth Kings. I would rather listen to the Cottonmouth Kings than the nuclear option.
Oh, damn. And that's saying something.
Put it Spotify on the TV in the living room during the weekend and just let it play in the background and listen to your wife cringe. That's how you know what's the good and bad ones.
Honestly, this is something I think that they would have played at like Abu Ghraib during the enhanced interrogation techniques. All right.
Wow.
It's so bad. And it's the best part about it is that Jeremy will be stoked to listen to it once he sees the album cover, because he'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna be great," and then he'll see the track list and he'll be further enticed because I know how his brain works. And then when he hears that the first 10 seconds of the track, he'll inherently know and be like, "This motherfucker."
I hate you. You made my ears bleed.
Oh, I mean, there's some bands Chancy has brought like Bass Nectar, they made my ears bleed. But
you will beg for Sunhouse. You will beg for Sunhouse. I guarantee this.
No, Sunhouse made my soul bleed, not my ears. But
either way, like, it doesn't matter. You can pick the top 5 things that you've hated that I've brought the most, stack them all together, and you'll beg for those albums again.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Wow.
I don't look forward to this day. I don't. I'll have to. Hopefully that day I bring my nuclear option as well, which I actually have a couple because I know what Chancy hates. So I have a couple of nuclear options. And the best thing is when you do bring that, the guests will think my album's better regardless. So, but we'll see. I want to see what guest makes you bring that album. I really do. That's what's gonna be the funniest part is what guest makes you bring that album.
See, I don't think it'd be the guest that'd make me bring it. It'd be you. It'd be something that you would choose or do or something. And it'd be like, all right, that's it. Nuclear option.
Yeah. Well. 100%. But Chancy, what album did you bring to compete with Supertramp?
Well, I didn't bring an album to compete with anything. It's just that I saw that you all chose something from 1979. As it just so happened, on my shuffle spree, I came up with an artist who had an album come out in 1979, which is Tom Petty's Damn the Torpedoes. And that one always stood out to me because it was really like that gear shifting album for him. Like, so many things were going on all at once, both in his life and musically and this, that, and the other. And I've always been a fan of Tom Petty, no matter, regardless. But Damn the Torpedoes was definitely that overdrive shift into he always did good stuff, but there was just from that point forward, he was just in it.
Do you know what held this back from being the #1 album in the Billboard Top 200?
Yeah, I think it came to number 3 or something like that.
No, it was #2. It almost reached #1. Do you know what kept it out?
Mm-mm.
The Wall by Pink Floyd. I found that amazing. I saw that in a trivia on it, and I'm like, that's pretty incredible.
I mean,
yeah, I mean, if you're going to be second to anybody, Pink Floyd's that's not too shabby.
No.
I mean, Pink Floyd. There are people who love them. I can't understand why. I really can't, because I like some of the stuff they've done, but I never will say I'm a fan of their work. Like, some of the songs they've done are okay, but I also usually like the covers of those songs a lot better. So, I mean, hell, take Another Brick in the Wall. Korn did better.
I'm not arguing. I don't like the argument, but I'm not arguing.
I don't know. Pink Floyd I feel like they were trying to be too political. They were trying to be too political. There's music and there's being political music, and they just forgot about the music and went to be too political. But
now, especially never mind.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Everybody knows about the Pink Floyd Another Brick in the Wall thing, and the whole if you get really fucked up and listen to Another Brick in the Wall and watch. If you listen to Dark Side of the Moon and watch Wizard of Oz, it's gonna be fucking trippy, man. Yeah, I don't see it. I've tried doing it on.
You gotta time it. Right. It's not like you just push play and then wait and push play. You have to hit play at an exact time at the beginning of the movie in order for the movie to line up with the music. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be like, what the fuck is happening here?
All right. I can't say I'm ever gonna go try that again, but I don't like watching.
I
I don't like
would,
watching Wizard of Oz on most days.
I wouldn't do it either because I mean, I ain't got the fucking inclination or the patience to be just like.
I've grown up since then. Yes.
But I mean, that's like trying to freaking play the Kiss album backwards to hear "Hail Satan." But it's like I don't got the time for that shit. But and Shannon says she loves Tom Petty, so there you go, Chancy. And she says she does not like Pink Floyd. They're overrated. Thank you, Shannon. I agree. But and they're definitely overrated. But what did you think of Chancy's album there, Glenn?
Well, first off, I'll have to throw this out there. The quote for the album is a reference to what an admiral said during a battle in Mobile. And that admiral was David Farragut. As his fleet was approaching the bay, he said that damn the torpedoes full speed ahead. Well, he was actually born not far from where I grew up, Farragut, Tennessee, which is in Knox County, Tennessee, which I didn't know that. So that was kind of cool. I have nothing against it. I would say if you're ready for my top 5, I can give them to you now. But
not quite yet ready for that. But
no, that's cool.
Anything else you got to say about it? Go ahead.
Oh no. I was like I said, it started off with the album title. When I looked at this quote, and I was like, "Whoa, Farragut! That's from Farragut, Tennessee." So I thought about that. It was pretty cool that Tom Petty wanted to lead this album off in a real strong way. And at that time he was trying to make a political point, but yeah, all the songs on there were really good and complex. Didn't know this, but he actually hid a track in there. So that was kind of cool too. When I went back, I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember that song. And then I researched it a little bit and found out that it was a hidden track. So, plus, Tom Petty, he plays all kinds of instruments, and he does play the harmonica, so I'm down with that.
The harmonica is always an interesting instrument to be played, especially in rock bands, I will say.
You blow the harmonica and not me.
Whoa.
Well, all I can say is, I mean, I've always been a Tom Petty fan to some degree. I mean, his hits are his hits, and they're amazing. And it was sad when he died. I think it was a good 7 years ago. The day he died, my boss at the job I had at the time, was playing this station that was all Tom Petty stuff, and it's amazing how many hits he had. It really is that songs that you don't even recognize are his. But this album, I liked it. I listened to it this morning on my way to a doc's appointment. I mean, it was pretty decent. I definitely got top 5 out of it. Honorable mention, I don't know if I actually got, because I mean, I wasn't blown away by a lot of the songs on it. I just wasn't I definitely, I don't know. Actually, I didn't get any honorable mentions. I only got top 5, but the songs I like on it, I like. The songs on it that I knew that I liked are really good. A couple surprises in there, but nothing on it really blew me away. I feel like he might have had better albums, but I mean, I understand if you're going for the year, you're going for the year. That's kind of the same reason I went with my album. So, I mean, I kind of get that. But, I mean, it's just, they're better. I can't remember the name of the fucking song I'm thinking of, but there's one song Tom Petty did that is an amazing fucking song, and it was not in this album. So, I mean, this album was just mediocre at best to me. But, I don't know. And Glenn said this is when Tom Petty was going through a change, so maybe I liked the music before or after this change. I don't know. I'm not positive. I feel like it might have been more 80s when I liked his music. His 80s stuff might have been more relevant to me. But overall, not a bad album. I'm not going to hate on it because it wasn't unenjoyable. It was an enjoyable album. But I didn't really I didn't heart the songs into my Spotify like list like I did for my album and for Glenn's album. So, I mean, that much I will say. But overall, not horrible. You've brought so much worse. So, not horrible at all. But, Chancy, what are your top 5 for Mr. Petty? And please don't be petty.
Man, I don't even know what the hell you're saying right now, sir. He on this album alone is like 3 of his greatest hits. 4 if you want to make an argument about it. But like
debatable.
No, I mean like you can go and look at any of his greatest hits album and you'll find these 3 songs that I know specifically will be on this thing. I mean, and you saying like, oh, you liked his 80s stuff better. This shit came out in 79. What more of a lead up what more of a fucking lead up into the 80s do you need, man? Like, for fuck's sake, we're at 1979.99. Borderline 80. Man, shit. Number 5 is the 4th arguable greatest hit on this thing, which is Century City. That's a lot of people, especially from this album, in discussions about Tom Petty stuff, always go back to Century City, which that one I'm like, not. I wouldn't necessarily qualify it, but I heard enough about it in a couple of documentaries of his that I checked out. Number 4 was Even the Losers. Also could arguably be one of his greatest hits, because I mean, Even the Losers has been used in so many things. And for that to be as deep of a cut, you know, it's a deep, deep cut for an old Petty fan. For that to be used in media, like modern media. Number 3 was Here Comes My Girl, which is one of the 3 that are guaranteed to be in any Tom Petty greatest hits album. Number 2 is Refugee, which is number 2 on any of those greatest hits albums. And number 1 is Don't Do Me Like That, which is on every greatest hits album, regardless of how, you know, old or new they may be. But I mean, shit, okay. Refugee got wrote shortly after he lost his house. It was a house fire. I mean, there was a lot of shit that was going on in his life alone. And I think this was also around the time period when he actually declared bankruptcy and voided his contract and started doing his own shit. So, I mean, this is a linchpin moment for sure.
Well,
he also said that he was inspired by an old 50s film classic, The Hitchhiker.
Yeah, you can see that.
And you were right. It was a time period where he was going through with the music industry. So
yeah,
we need to call it American Refugee, and they refused. They're like, no.
I mean, actually, it's funny you just said that, because The Hitchhiker, I just actually watched that movie this past weekend, because it's coming up on top 50 serial killers movie bracket we're doing at the end of April on my other show. So I just watched that movie last weekend. And Chancy, I just looked it up. On his greatest hits album, there was 4 songs from this particular album on it, and one of them I don't see how that's one of his greatest hits, but okay, I'll live with that. But the other 3 are all my top 5. So, but the song I was thinking of that I love by him is Breakdown, which actually was a 70s
Breakdown's
song.
Great. That's a solid song for sure.
I mean, and that's a 70s song, and I mean, what the hell was the other song itself? Oh yeah, Free Fallin', of course, because I mean that was just on a 90s bracket we did on the Asylum this past Saturday. It did. Well, I think it may pass the first round, maybe.
I think it was also on the last Rolling Stones one we did as well.
It might, or I think it's on the one coming up, maybe.
No, it was on the last one because we all made fun of you singing it. Don't you remember?
No, but
I distinctly remember that. Everybody roasted you about that.
I just had to look up something, and he also he was very, I don't know what the right word is, but he did change. He transitioned well in his life, because I just went and looked it up because it hit me. He was one of the Traveling Wilburys.
Yep.
I mean, and I Won't Back Down. That's another song of his on his greatest hits.
Also a solid, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and didn't he also, when MTV became so popular, wasn't he one of the ones that had all the controversial long videos that ended up being
like Don't Come Around Here No More was one of the longer ones that they had a problem with. Yeah, he had a few of them on there.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. He's definitely left his mark on American society. He definitely has. I mean, I knew the name Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers since I was a little kid because of my dad. So, I mean, he's definitely been around the block. But this album just I don't think was a shining moment in his career per se. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, Full Moon Fever or his debut album, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, I think are better albums. But just based on the number of songs on the greatest hits off those albums. But
well, remember with this, he was also even the Losers. He was having a problem with LSD. So that was what the song was about. And so he was having trouble through that. This was that period of his life. So yeah.
Funny you should say that because that's actually the one song. That's the one song I don't agree with. That was on the greatest hits. That was on this album.
He was at that transition point in life where you're not quite grown up and you're not quite old because he tried to revisit going back to high school, which is kind of what I got from even the Losers. And that was, I looked it up and that was when he was having the LSD time and he tried it with his first high school crush. That's how he came up with the songs.
I mean, if I go back and recount things I tried my first high school crush, it wouldn't be a pleasant episode. So, but did you give your top 5, Chancy, all the way through, or did I interrupt you?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay. All right, Glenn, what were your top 5 for Mr. Petty?
Yeah, he was talking about Petty's done so many, but for this, number 1 would be "Don't Do Me Like That." I think that one was a solid one. I don't remember if that was the number 1 off of the album or not, but "Don't Do Me Like That" is definitely one. And it also has a little riff in it that I swear is Beatles-esque. Is that the right word? Beatles-esque. Even the Losers, like I said, I looked that up. He was going through a time in his life where he was trying to look back at his life. So I thought, well, I'll give him a thing for that. Refugee is number 3. Like I said, I don't think you can argue that it was where he was doing transition. And heck, that song's been covered by so many artists too. Even country and western stars have covered that one. So I know I don't get that one. But now Here Comes My Girl. I mean, it's a solid song. And then I guess this will take my oddball one with The Shadow of a Doubt. That one to me was I don't know, it kind of left me questioning the things that went on, and I think that's what he wanted. He was like feeling paranoia and stuff, it sounded like, while he was writing this song, or if he wrote it, when he played it. But my honorable mention was Louisiana Rain, because I found out that was an unofficial hidden track, and I didn't know that was a thing back then, or I had forgotten. So yeah, that was my honorable mention, because apparently the hidden track is the album just goes and it just plays at silence for a while, then boom, suddenly there's a song there, which we can't do that now with CDs and MP3s. And
no, they still do it on CD. They used to do it on CDs,
and they still do it on MP3s. At the end of it, I know certain MP3 songs where it'll be like a set. They still do it on like Offspring MP3s. Like there'll be like a 7-8 minute song, and they'll do like a 4-minute song, and there's like a minute or minute and a half of silence, and then it jumps into another song. So
I guess I'm just used to something being edited out. But that one, it was an honorable mention because of that and the harmonica. I don't know that he played the harmonica in that, but I think he did, and it was kind of like just a little bluesy like riff at the end of the song. I thought it was cool.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually agree with that, because Louisiana Rain was interesting. It was a little more country than I like, but it was definitely an interesting song. But my top 5. My number 5 was What You Doing in My Life, because we've all had people in our lives in the past who make us think about that song. So I 100% like that, love that song. Number 4 was Here Comes My Girl, because who doesn't know that song? I mean, it's not his best song by any means, but it's a good song. Number 3 was Century City, which actually was not on his greatest hits album. But, I mean, it kind of gave me Sub City by Tracy Chapman vibes. Which, I mean, I enjoy Sub City by Tracy Chapman a lot more. But, I mean, Century City wasn't bad. It was actually, I enjoyed it a lot. number 2 was Don't Do Me Like That, because that's a classic song. That's fucking classic. And just like the guitar and the way he sings that song is amazing. And number 1, in the pronunciation of Mr. Stan Smith, is Refugi, or Refugee. American Dad reference out there for all you animation folks. Camp Refugi, love it. But Refugee is a classic and an amazing song, and it had to be number 1. It had to. It's Refugee. I mean, it's a damn good song. I honestly feel like I didn't know it was his. I felt like I've heard it before, but 1,000 times before, but I never knew it was his. I don't know. He has his voice isn't unique enough where I could like point it out if I'm listening to like a soundtrack of if someone brings me like a CD and says, listen to this burnt CD going back to the 90s, then I mean I wouldn't be able to recognize like that's Tom Petty. Like no, it would just be like, oh, this is a rock song. It's good. Do you know it's Tom Petty? No, I didn't. But okay, good to know. So I mean, Refugee is a good song though, really is. So had to be my number 1. It really had to be. But that's gonna bring us, folks, and honestly, my CD this week is not one of those ones that I can go on and on and on about for a century, like Chancy loves, but yeah, I know you love it, Chancy, I know. But this CD, I went through I'm not gonna lie, I went through hell trying to find a CD to match up to the CD that Glenn brought. I really did. Because it was, whenever it's a 70s CD, I'm just like, crap. Like, either I have something right away like that I'm like, that's what I'm bringing. Or I have to sit there and look at the year and be like, what else came out that year that I like? And I went through a couple CDs. I almost brought Dynasty by Kiss. Which actually, Chancy, that was the unsent message that was unsent in your chat. Because I did send that CD at first. And I'm like, wait a minute. Nope, Chancy didn't see it yet. I'm taking it back. There's another album I almost brought too. I can't remember what the hell it was. I feel like it might have been Styx. I'm not sure. I think I looked at an Elton John album that came out that year too, but wasn't an Elton John album that really impressed me enough to bring. I looked at a bunch of albums for that year, trying to figure out which one to bring, and eventually I settled on one album because one of my favorite songs by that band is on that album. And I was like, you know what? I have never really checked out this band other than like the hits I know. So, fuck it. I'm going to do a little discovery this week myself. And I decided to bring ELO's, Electric Light Orchestra's, Discovery. Because I never have listened to an ELO album in full before. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's open my mind a little this week and see what happens. And that's when the cops are called and, you know, things happen. But I brought this album, and other than, yeah. But don't do that to me, man. Don't do that to me. But
I love that.
Fuck, got my heart racing now and shit. But this album, after listening to it a couple times, I listened to it once yesterday at work with headphones, and once in the car today. And honestly, I'm happy I brought it because it overall was an amazing album. Because I love Electric Light Orchestra. They've always had unique music. Their musical style is very unique to other bands in that era. Kind of reminiscent of Styx and maybe Queen a little bit in some of their songs, on their less rocky songs, and their more like genre-bending songs. But ELO is kind of unique in their own way. They don't really match up with anybody perfectly. They do things their own way, which I love. And I mean, this album just impressed the fuck out of me. So I'm happy I brought it because I made a discovery with Discovery. So, and I could say that 1,000 times. So, you know, but it was a damn good album, and I enjoyed the shit out of it, even though I never heard it before, which I actually like doing in this show. I like to bring albums I never heard before and then just kind of making them, discovering new things. Like, it's always a good thing. And it's the point of the show to begin with, so I figured, like, sometimes I'll do it to myself. You know, like a fucking 11-year-old boy in his bedroom, I'll discover new things. But,
Ooh.
Hey, we've all done it. But what did you think of Discovery, Glenn?
After hearing that, I don't know. Well, yeah, it was one that I had listened to in the past, but never really listened to, if that makes sense. And it was also, I think you called it symphonic or something rock or something like that earlier, because
I called.
Well, it was like you were describing a genre. I think that's what you called it.
Oh, and I was saying that one of the songs off of your album kind of like was like a beginning to symphonic rock almost.
Yeah, and this is kind of, to me, they tried to blend a little bit of rock, pop, and the orchestra in there, topping it off with a little disco, which apparently I'm on a disco kick here lately. So I dug that. Yeah, I was surprised at how much I liked the album, and I was like, I've heard all this before. So yeah, it was one that I would definitely go back and give a listen to. I mean, if you look at the cover, it's got a UFO on it. Come on now, para or normal? Give me a break. I'd love to know if they had any paranormal experiences.
I knew you would love that. I knew you would love that too when I saw it. So
yeah. So well, first I thought it was what was that game from I guess it was the 80s where you hit the red, blue, green, and it kept changing and going faster and faster. Like it was like
Simon.
Simon.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was like, "That's Simon." Then I was like, looked at it a little closer. Oh, wait a minute, no, it's not. Because when you bring it up on Spotify, it's like this little tiny thumbnail. So I had to go looking to see what it was. So like, okay, that's cool. So yeah, it is. It was kind of like the perfect blend of all genres because I mean, think about it. You're going from 1979, which was the rock era, and you're going into the disco era. So there was kind of that weird transition there. And in the 80s, a lot of music just got weird. Thank God. But I mean, I'm not arguing. I only thank God because I think it made us discover so many more things. So yeah, it kind of had that perfect blend ending the 70s, bringing the 80s in, is the way I felt about it. So
yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, yeah, it definitely did that in my opinion too. I mean, it combined a lot of different genres of music together, which why it makes me think of Queen a little bit. And Shannon, it's Discovery by ELO or Electric Light Orchestra. But Chancy, what did you think of ELO?
I thought it was fucking trash. No, I'm just playing. No, it's another one of those things where it was basically kind of strolling down the memory lane, because a lot of the stuff that was on there would be stuff that would be playing when my parents would take me to parties when I was younger. So like,
I gotta ask, how old are you? You're making me feel really old now.
I'm only 38.
Oh God, you look so much older.
He looks like he looks like he's 55, but
You lived your rough life, Chancy. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's
his daddy.
It's genetic, actually. Like my great grandfather went all white by the time he was 18.
Well, I got no comeback for that. That won't get us in trouble. So, oh yeah. Sorry, I had to interrupt you because you kept saying my parents listen to this. My parents listen to this. Like, shit.
Yeah.
Well, and that's when I discovered a lot of music. Of course, my dad was a country and western DJ, so I was exposed to a lot of weird things from the 50s.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was born in 51, so like I was exposed to like Motown, early rock and roll, R&B, all the stuff through up into the 60s. And then my mom was born in 60, so like some of the stuff that, you would hear on like the classics oldie stations that now plays a lot of the stuff from like, the 90s and 80s on it now. But isn't it? It's like, okay, whatever. We're here now.
This elevator music. I jammed to this in high school. What the hell?
I know, right? But like, that kind of led me into stuff like, ZZ Top, Nazareth, Tom Petty, ELO, all like all kinds of stuff, from the 70s, 60s, 80s, and then I kind of fell in from 80s, 90s, some of the early aughts. But yeah, it was just basically kind of like going down memory lane. Just, oh yeah, I remember when they used to play these here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I only knew one song of this album. That's the great thing. So it was, and I love this pun, but it was just it was a complete discovery album. It really freaking was. But Chancy, I will ride that horse till it fucking breaks down and dies.
Listen, it's already died under the weight of your big head.
Okay, so you said that this one was probably the only one you only knew one off of. I'm gonna guess "Don't Bring Me Down."
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably "Don't Bring Me Down."
Well, let's see.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Well, okay, good, because I would ask him what he thinks that word is. So.
Interesting story behind that. Actually, I'll get to that in a second. But
Right.
I had two honorable mentions for this album because it actually really was a good album. Number 7 was "Need Her Love" because it made me think of my wife. And I was actually driving in the car with her today when I was listening to the CD a second time, and I actually started rubbing her leg and shit when that song came on. So,
Get the estrogen flowing.
Yeah, it's already flowed enough. But my honorable mention was "Shine a Little Love" because that was a beautiful song. It wasn't really amazing, but it was a beautiful song. And apparently Shannon says that song "Phone Call" makes her tummy have butterflies. That wasn't on this album, so I'm not sure exactly what song that is. But my number 5 was "The Diary of Horace Wimp," which I never heard before, but is an amazing story, an amazing song, which blew me away. Number 4 is "Midnight Blue," and I mean, a lot of these in my top 5 are just because of the music. The music is freaking incredible. They do. It's like a lot of bands I listen to today that are a little more. Like the one band I love nowadays is called Lordy, and it's kind of like disco and rock put together, disco and metal put together, sung by guys who wear costumes of monsters. So it's fucking incredible. But Midnight Blue kind of reminded me of one of their songs. Number 3, "On the Run," was a really good song. I really enjoyed the shit out of that. And number 2, "Last Train to London." I almost got Monkey vibes from it. Because, like, "Last Train to Clarksville," last Train to London, like, that's kind of where my mind went when I was listening to it. And I kind of heard similarities. So, I mean, Monkeys came first, so obviously they might have been giving a little homage there. But, and yes, number 1 was, of course, the song I heard before 1,000 times, "Don't Bring Me Down." And until I actually looked at the lyrics this time, I used to always think that after they said "Don't Bring Me Down," they said "Bruce."
Guilty.
But I actually looked at the lyrics and I saw that it said "gross," which I was like, really? Really? It sounds like Bruce. Like for 20 years now, I thought it was saying, "Don't bring me down." Like, I thought that's what it was saying. And I'm like, who the fuck's... I always said, like, who the fuck's Bruce? Was that, like, their record producer or something? But, like, I never knew. So, I finally said to myself, all right, I'm at work listening to this album for the first time. When that song comes on, I am so putting on the fucking lyrics just to see what the hell it says. And yes, thank you, Shannon. It's a Mandela effect thing, because I think everybody thought that for a long time. It's a Mandela effect thing, because I think everybody thought that. And I mean, I don't even remember the how or why I heard "Don't Bring Me Down" the first time. It might have been a supermarket. It might have been the radio, when I actually listened to the radio back in the day. I know it ended up on some burnt CDs of mine at some point. But, and I think it might have been Guitar Hero at one point too. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like it was. But yeah, I mean, that's the reason I picked CD was because of "Don't Bring Me Down." Because I was looking through all these 79 CDs, I'm like, looking at the tracks to see which of these CDs have songs I know, actually. Because I didn't want to bring a CD I never heard any song on, because it just seemed like I could bring complete failure then and not even know it. But at least if there's one track I know and love, then I know I'm doing something right, at least. So, I mean, "Don't Bring Me Down" is definitely one of the best songs ELO ever did. So, 100%. Off the top of my head, I can't think of the other song that I freaking love. Oh, God. It's going to kill me now. It's going to fucking kill me. I'll be doing some Googling in a minute. But what were your top 5 there, Glenn, for ELO?
Great album, by the way. Number 5 would probably be The Diary of Horace Wimp. Wimp. Wimp.
Oh, Mr. Blue Sky. I'm sorry. It was fucking Mr. Blue Sky. That's the other song they did that everybody knows.
Okay, yeah. And I think that one, because it reminded me of the Beatles, kind of. So I think that's why it got to the number 5. Confusion, I think, was probably number 4.
That honestly could have been my honorable mention because I love the way they say confusion. Like, I love the way they fucking say that. Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, that one to me, they put like we were talking about earlier, the rock, the pop, and the orchestra in there. So yeah, I can do that one. And then Last Train to London. You're right. That did kind of remind me of something Monkeys, or I don't know. It definitely had UK influence by listening to it. So, then like I said, I think they were adding a little bit of disco in there too. So I dig that. So yeah, that one was right there. Number 2, Shine a Little Love on My Life. That one to me was, I don't know. It was, I don't know. It just kind of reminded me of, back in that early period in life. So it was kind of catchy and just had that orchestra sound that I'm apparently really digging now. So plus it's got the disco sound in it. So
hey, disco is God, man. I don't care what anybody says. Disco's God.
Yeah, I'm discovering this as I get older. And of course, number 1 would be the Don't Bring Me Down. And like you, for years, I thought it said Bruce.
Well, actually, Shan just said it was Bruce. He made the song about his dad.
Okay, well,
so maybe they changed the lyrics in later years, like to kind of like after his dad died or something. Maybe he was like, okay, we need to change the lyrics in this a little bit. But
well, apparently when they were writing the song, they needed something to put there because they didn't know what to put there, is what I read about it. And they said that they wrote in gross, like you said, and he claimed that it was because it was greater or cool. But apparently later in life, he acknowledged that it was a subconscious influence from a Bavarian greeting, meaning Greek god. I did not know that. I was like,
oh, actually, now that you say that, it almost sounds like they could be saying Zeus. So, Greek god Zeus, I mean, it kind of lines up in a way.
Yeah, so I don't know. Because like we were talking about the Mandela, for years, like you, I was like, that's Bruce. And I didn't know who's Bruce. But we didn't
exactly.
So I just went with it. So it wasn't until it's not Bruce at all.
Oh, and of course I gotta mention, I just looked this up and I gotta mention the other famous song they did that everybody knows is Evil Woman.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I love that song. I mean, I've known so many women in my life that song could be about. So yeah, but not my wife, but so many other women in my life that song could be about. Like so many other women, but God, some of my exes. I swear to fucking God, I could write a fucking book. But Chancy, what were your top 5?
It's funny because literally between both of you, you've listed my top 5. Number 5 for me was Confusion. Number 4 was Midnight Blue. Number 3 was Diary of Horace Wimp. Number 2 was Last Train to London. And of course, number 1 is Don't Bring Me Down, because I mean, that just went on the list right at number 1 before I even listened to the rest of it.
I didn't want to do that. I wanted to give it a full listen first before I decided that, but at the end of it, I just had to do it. I had to.
I went with my gut.
My gut gets me in trouble, so I'll go with it. But
I did that too. I didn't want to put that as number 1, but yeah, I mean, initially just without listening. But we're talking about movies. Midnight Blue, of course. You put that on there. That was in Xanadu. It was never released as a single. It was in Xanadu.
Really?
Yeah. Because I was like, I know I've heard this, but I looked. It was like it was never a single, but it was in the soundtrack album. And I'm like, you kidding me?
Xanadu.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Xanadu. Actually, I could hear it now. Yeah, I could hear it in the movie because I love that Olivia Newton-John classic. I mean, I love that fucking movie, and when Roger the Alien was doing the rollerblade version of it on a cruise ship on American Dad. It made me fucking laugh my ass off because he's just bringing people dinner, roller skating around, singing Xanadu. It's fucking classic. And I can't see Chancy's face right now, but I'm sure he's like, motherfuckers bringing up animated TV again. But,
Yep. You are 100% correct, sir. I'm literally rolling my eyes so hard that they went bloodshot.
Wow. But that's something you should do a show on sometime, is movie soundtracks, because in my opinion, they stopped doing that in like the 80s, maybe early 90s. You used to would have a movie come out and then a soundtrack album with it.
Nah, they did that. They did that well into the 90s because, like,
into the 2000s even.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Marvel movies. Yeah.
Well,
no, I mean
Marvel.
like Queen of the Damned.
Yep.
One
of my favorite Marilyn Manson songs is on that album. But
let's see, you got from the 90s. You have like The Crow and the Batman. I believe it's Batman Forever.
Oh,
because of the Seal song.
Oh,
Kiss from a Rose.
Yes.
I thought you were talking Batman original with like Prince doing the full album, but
no, but that's like that. You want to go into the 80s? I was going to bring up Maximum Overdrive or Shocker, or even Batman, because of the fact that
fucking Prince.
I mean Prince did that, but did the majority of that outside of what Danny Elfman did for the actual like music stuff, like the movie.
Yeah. And one of our watchers says heavy metal has the best soundtrack, but
oh, dude, super. But that's all like that's old. That's even older. So I mean, his argument was more so that it stopped in the 80s, 90s.
Well, I'll tell you, Glenn, we did an episode where a guest wanted to do movie soundtracks, and I mean they brought The Man with Iron Fist, which I believe is our early 2000s movie. I'm not wrong.
Yeah, because it was RZA.
Yeah, and I mean, hell, I brought Jane Silent Bob Strike Back, which was 2001, and that had an amazing soundtrack to it. So, and I forget, did you bring The Crow, Chancy? I forget what you brought.
No, I brought Batman. Remember?
No, that was our first episode ever. Our second
was
episode. That was our second episode.
Did we choose soundtracks for that?
No, but you brought Batman anyway, because I brought fucking Nightwish and you brought Batman.
Oh, so then yes, if for the episode we did for movie soundtracks, then yes, I brought The Crow.
I think you did at least. I'm not 100% sure you brought The Crow on that one. I don't remember.
I know I brought that soundtrack on a show because of My Life with Phil Kilcole.
It had to be that one then. It had to be that one because we never really brought movie soundtracks and anything else besides those two episodes. But well, you did in those two episodes. I did in the one episode. But I mean, yeah, we've done movie soundtrack episode. I mean, we definitely would be down doing another one at some point. I've had other guests recommend it. I just never. Those episodes never came to fruition. So.
Oh yeah, dude! If we did another one, I would totally bring like Shocker or like Maximum Overdrive or something.
Have you ever done an animated soundtrack?
No. Heavy metal? That'd be great.
Yeah, I guess that would be yeah.
I mean, if we do that,
Sammy Hagar.
I mean, if we do that, I will have to bring South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut. Just saying, but because who doesn't love a good old rendition of Kyle's Mom's a Big Fat Bitch? Because I mean, they actually did that live at a Primus show with Matt and Trey doing the voices.
I would actually rather do if I was going to bring a South Park album, it'd be the Chef Aid live from Chef Aid.
Oh, yeah, that's classic as well. I mean, actually, Chancy, here's a good story. Here's a good story for you, Chancy. My coworker was supposed to go see Primus last week.
Oh,
it was a 2-night event, like they were doing shows 2 nights in a row.
Yeah.
His roommate, they were supposed to go on Thursday night. His roommate realized before they left the house on Thursday that he bought tickets for the Wednesday night show.
No.
Oh.
I would fucking lose my whole ass mind. I'm so glad I got to see those guys, but for real though, I'd fucking lose my shit.
You'd be like, come here.
Oh,
let me have a fucking chat.
Dude, he took a 4-day weekend. I mean, I think he got so fucking pissed off he got sick. But like,
I'd be like Fire Marshal Bill in that bitch. I'd be like, let me say something.
It was a fun. When I heard that when he was out sick on Friday, I heard that someone told me about that, and we were like, oh my god, he had to lose his mind because we know how he is. He would have lost his fucking mind on that shit. Like, God. Like I told him too. Like when he was leaving work today, I was like, as he's leaving work, I'm like yelling at him, like, too many puppies.
Too many puppies. Too many puppies. Do.
Jesus Christ! But well, folks. Oh, go ahead, Glenn.
I was just gonna say I would have had to beat that guy for that. So, friend or
not. Well, folks, we've done our job. We've brought you 3 amazing albums from '79. I know. Lately, it seems like we've been doing a lot of 70-year episodes. It just seems like we have, like, all different years from the '70s. We just did one with the year Elton John's first album came out. I forget what the fuck. I want to say 73.
78.
78.
We just did. I was gonna say we just. Yeah, I was gonna say we just did the years. The year was 78 with. I feel bad for forgetting his name. I subscribed to his channel and everything.
Oh.
The comedian, the cop. He was awesome.
Yeah, that episode actually is supposed to release us. Oh, yeah, Floyd. I'm sorry, dude. I totally having a mind slip right now, but that's supposed to release this Friday. But we're having a little bit. We're supposed to be episode released today too. The first part A of the Rolling Stones bracket was supposed to be released today, but we're having a little. My network is having a little issue with payment issues with our release service. So none of my episodes since Saturday have been released, and I'm kind of peeved about it. But so now I have to look for a new streaming service. But coming soon, I'll get those out tomorrow, hopefully. But we will be back next week, as always, with Tender Bastard. And I can't wait to have him on, because that name alone just makes me want to have him on, because he's a tender bastard. But if you ask me what he does, I couldn't tell you, but I also forget. It's been a while since I set that episode up, but the name alone makes me want to bring him on. But Glenn, we want to thank you for coming on, because it's been an incredible freaking show.
Oh,
but where can they find you, Glenn, and everything you do?
Oh Lord, I'm all over the place. You can go on Facebook and subscribe to our little group, the Normal Guyz with a Z. That'll tell you where to find me everywhere. I do 3 shows a week. I do the paranormal show Wednesday night, and then Friday night I do kind of a public safety show, so it's kind of a niche thing. And then Saturday, you guys need to come on sometime and be some guests on there. We call it the Misfits because it's basically picture Cheers. You walk in, you bring your adult drink, and you bust everybody's balls. It's kind of a funny thing. And then I have recently been picked up doing, of all things, DJing Tuesdays and Thursdays from noon until 2:00 Eastern on the Thin Line Rock Station. I get to play 2 hours of pretty much. He gives me pretty much free reign, so I can't complain about that. And all of my shows are backed by Yergz, YERGZ radio.com. He allows us to go out to internet streaming radio, and we're allowed to cuss and say whatever we want on it. So that's kind of cool. Although I have to dial it back for FM, but because we are on 2 FM stations now. So this growth thing was a good thing, but it happened too fast. I don't know that I was ready for it, but yeah, we're on WDJY in Atlanta. And we're on WRFN in Nashville with the Paranormal Guyz, so and the Misfits. So that's where you can find those 2. But yeah, look me up. You can also find me Sportcat pretty much anywhere. Sportcat on Twitter, Sportcat on Facebook, wherever. I get around. So
well,
yeah, if you're looking for somebody to stream, you should check out YergzRadio.com. They might be interested in picking up some of your shows. So They
could
did
definitely
wonderful.
give me a connect. I'll definitely talk to them. But
Okay.
I would love to get streamed, even though as long as they're fine with us cussing, we're good. But
You should hear what he says. You think you cuss.
oh, I am well aware, Glenn. I'm well aware. But and yeah, I've been on Para or Normal Guys. I would gladly come on your other show as well. So, and I'm sure Chancy's always down to have a good time. So,
That's what's kind of cool about this is, and I told my co-host, the same thing. It's like a big family of podcasters. You get in this little group and you have friends, and then you mingle and meet other people, and you grow out. And everybody's like, "Why aren't you doing a paranormal show?" And I'm like, "Well, I do that enough. I like having other options." So yeah,
exactly. I mean,
welcome. Hey, got a paranormal experience? Come over, talk to me.
Trust me, I kind of locked myself down with my first show doing nothing but paranormal stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm the number 3 science podcast on Good Pods, but so I try to be a little more sciencey here and there, but it's mostly paranormal stuff. But Chancy, where can they find you and everything you do?
I mean, there's all the usual suspects. The Red Eye Roundtable on Instagram and TikTok. X, it's Red Eye Table. Or no, yeah, it's Red Eye Table. And that's my first name on Facebook. Good luck finding me.
If you do find it, folks, you get to bring an album on our show that Chancy has to bring. So there you go. He's not that hard to find, really, but I mean, only three people have done it or tried to do it, I guess. I don't know. There may be more people out there trying to find him. I know he's, like I said before, he attracts pussy. So, but you could of course find both of us on Uncensored, Untamed, and Unapologetic UQ Podcast Collective on Facebook. You could find us on the Gram and X as @JuggleTheBastard. You could find us on TikTok as @JuggleTheBastard Podcast. More content coming soon, I promise. I gotta get back on that. And you can of course find us on Parapost Network, streaming on Facebook, a great home for all podcasts and podcasts, free of charge. And you can also find us as a proud member of the Blind Knowledge Network, where all knowledge was blind. Until Chancy used some Visine, probably. But come check us out this weekend for Rolling Stone's Top 500 Songs Bracket Part 10. We are fully shaft deep into the hundreds, and it's going to be a long one this weekend, I can tell you that. These songs are some of the best songs ever written, and it's just going to get harder for the next 4 parts until we finish this out. So the next 2 months are going to be fun. And of course, come back every Tuesday to see us with our regular episodes where we have a great guest and we talk 3 great albums. Well, usually 3 great albums. I can't promise every week, but we try. And until next time, musers are out, and thank you, Glenn, for coming on once last time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I had a great time.